Okay, please stand as Trustee Salcido leads us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Almighty and merciful God, we ask your guidance and blessings upon this board. Students, parents, patrons, teachers, and administrators, as we are assembled here this evening in the common pursuit of this great nation's wealth, our children. Amen.
Amen. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. And the time is now 6:02, and the meeting will now be officially called to order. Good evening and welcome to this regular meeting of the Northside Board of Trustees. And before we call our first agenda item, the board would like to take just a few moments to briefly review the rules for conducting our meeting. In order of business for this meeting, it's set out in the agenda, and one item that you may notice on the agenda is the consent agenda. And this item includes items that are considered routine and are of recurring nature. All of these items listed under the consent agenda will be acted upon in one motion. And if there is a consent agenda item that anyone here would like to address, please sign up to speak to the item and we will pull it from the consent motion and discuss it separately. The purpose of this meeting is to conduct board business, and for that reason, it is held in public. It is not a public forum, however. We do provide the opportunity for audience participation. And if there's anyone wishing to address the board regarding citizens to be heard agenda items, please sign up in the sheet prior to the start of the meeting. If there's anyone who would like to address the board during an agenda item, we ask that you please complete a sign-up sheet and indicate the agenda item you would like to address. The sign-up sheets are located at the entrance to this room, so that we do not overlook anyone who would like to speak to the board. We will review the rules for addressing the board later on in the meeting. If there's anyone here who would like to sign up for an agenda item and has not already done so. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. And so we have item number 1. I'm ready to move to that.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board. Tonight, with this first agenda item, we have a kind of a unique opportunity. I'm going to let Dr. Carol Harrell explain really what this award means, but we have the opportunity to recognize someone that really, throughout the entire course of the year, works very diligently throughout the district to recognize so many Northside ISD students and staff. And so with that, I'm going to allow Dr. Harrell to really talk a little bit about the TASB Media Honor Roll, and then, like I say, present a recognition token of appreciation to one of our very own.
Thank you. Every year, TASB asks for nominations from school boards, and along the same lines that Dr. Kraft said, those who play a valuable role in the public education, in the lives of our children and educators, and certainly our community. And so the TASB Media Honor Roll was created to recognize these individuals and media outlets for reporting fair, accurate, and balanced stories on our schools. So we nominated someone, and he's being recognized tonight. There were 3 categories, just so you know: print, radio, and television, and it certainly is print with the Express News. The criteria for honorees include the following: make the effort to get to know the superintendent, board president, board, and the district's mission and goals, report school news in a manner that is fair, accurate, and balanced, highlights positive developments in schools, visits at campuses or certainly board meetings in our school district, and maintains a policy of no surprises by sharing information with school representatives. So we are honored tonight to present the 2025 Media Honor Roll to Mr. Scott Huddleston with the Express News. And Scott, if you'll come down here and our board will recognize you.
Fair and balanced.
Now you're gonna be special next to it.
All right, so congratulations again, and now we're moving on to item number 2, to our superintendent's report.
Yes, ma'am. There's a lot going on, really in preparation for the upcoming school year. And I was giving our students a little bit of a hard time. I think they're growing ready. I don't know if we're quite ready yet, but we will be. In preparation for the first day of school, which is August 11th, like I say, there's a lot of planning. Before I get there, though, I do hope that everyone had a nice summer vacation. I want to really pay special recognition to a group of individuals that have had to step into a situation to help out with the very tragic event associated with the floods on the 4th of July, and those are our crisis counselors. We obviously that weekend became very in tune, as did really everyone in Bexar County and probably the entire world. The victims associated with the flood and the tragic aftermath. And so I want to thank our counselors, crisis counselors who stepped in to include Elizabeth Flores, Tanya Perez, Stacy Griggs, Merida Salinas, and Jorge Ramos. They helped out Kerrville ISD. And you can imagine, particularly in Kerr County, that was a really very, very impacted region. And then our very own Kim Ridgely, Katie Westbrook, Georgiana Garza, and Tanya Mendoza went in and served those that were associated actually with Alamo Heights ISD. Alamo Heights had several students as well as camp counselors that were involved, particularly with the Camp Mystic event. So a special, like I say, accolade and thank you to our crisis counseling team that stepped in the time of need. Luckily, thankfully, they've been able to resume their regular activities. Many of these counselors, keep in mind, were not on contract. They volunteered their time if their services are needed, and of course any other services that we can render to help those and the victims, especially, and family members associated we're going to. So again, thank you to our counselors. We had the opportunity to celebrate once again Tate Taylor. This is our world-class sprinter from Harlan High School. Not only a state record holder, but also just recently announced here the last couple weeks the Gatorade Athlete of the Year. So congratulations to Tate. He's in pretty high company. Individuals that many of their names you might know, like Tim Tebow and many others have won. Yeah, thank you.
Kobe.
Peyton Manning, Kobe Bryant. So he's in, like I say, he's in good company. But like I say, it was great to celebrate with Tate as the athlete, Gatorade Athlete of the Year, and it's pretty high honor. We look forward to his success even as a senior going forward next year. Just a few reminders. This is the time of year that we're going to start getting really busy. Summer graduation, we'll have about 100 graduates tomorrow. We're going to be at Paul Taylor tomorrow, just as a reminder, at 6:30. So a little bit different. We're having to set up for multiple events at the sports gym, and so Paul Taylor will be our graduation venue tomorrow night. Thursday, just as a reminder, we'll have our servant leadership kickoff. This is with our student athletes at 8 o'clock at the sports gym, and then also our ambassadors will be inducted and welcomed for this upcoming school year at the Northside Activity Center. Likewise, we'll have our coaches with their leadership summit on Friday at the sports gym. Saturday, I know there are all types of welcoming back school kickoffs. One in particular will have our grandparents raising grandchildren event at Northwest Vista College at 9 o'clock. And I'll plan on attending and just, again, demonstrating our appreciation for their tremendous efforts. The grandparents raising grandchildren, it's a backpack giveaway, services being provided, an education summit. It will be at Northwest Vista College at 9 o'clock this Saturday. I don't know that you have this on your radar, but there is a legislative update being provided by the Education Service Center Region 20 on Monday, and this is from 3 to 5. So if interested, just please let us know, let Monica know, and like I say, we'll get you registered, but that's from 3 to 5. Also, as a reminder, our new Teacher Academy kicks off on Monday. We'll kick off at 8 o'clock at Brandeis High School with our secondary, and then again at 12:30 on Monday at Brandeis with our elementary students. Monday night is our first annual Athletic Hall of Honor banquet, and that will begin at 6 o'clock. And we'll be recognizing actually 8 former Northside ISD athletes and their families. This is a new initiative. As we were just really kind of looking back in time, we have had so many tremendous athletes that have had such a huge impact not only on their respective high school and Northside ISD, but really just as a career and as a profession, whether it be a professional athlete or just as a professional in general. And so we'll have the opportunity to recognize and celebrate with those 8 special individuals on Monday at the sports gym as well. And then, of course, we're planning for convocation, which is quickly, as I'm being reminded by Monica and Barry almost daily, of convocations kicking off the 5th and the 6th. This year's theme is Northside Unstoppable. And so we're pretty excited not only for the student and the student performances that will once again, I know, just be the highlight of the convocation, but we're going to really work to celebrate accomplishments. While we'll talk about a few of the challenges on the horizon, I do feel like, and you'll see a piece of what we're describing here tonight, we're on good footing to have a very, very successful school year. So like I say, mark your calendars. We'll have 3 convocations each day, the 5th and the 6th. And I know, like I say, you've been working towards the speaking parts and looking forward to, like I say, a great convocation. And with that, I do believe we have a video moment this evening. I know that a lot of times we celebrate all of the success associated with gyms and tracks and stadiums and swimming pools, but this is one that's kind of special and a little bit unique to Taft High School. And so hope you enjoy, like I say, tonight's video moment, because it's a little bit of a different variation of what you probably would consider and be accustomed to as clubs across Northside ISD schools.
Roscoe learned 2 things early on in life. Music and exercise are like therapy for him. As a member of the Taft High School Jazz Band, he's got the music part covered. Exercise? Well, that was a bit more tricky.
At the age of 3, I was diagnosed with a congenital heart defect, which affects 1 out of every 100 kids.
It kept him from playing most sports, so he got creative.
I'm gonna go off a little bit. Y'all wanna do the monkey loop again? I wanted to start a bike club in my middle school. Y'all ready?
An idea he carried on into high school.
Be careful.
Now the not so common high school sport is catching on.
We started with 5 members, and now we're 20 plus at Taft High School.
I was not really doing anything at home, so I was like, no, I'm just give it a try, and I ended up enjoying it.
The club has regular meetups to ride, laugh, and talk. They hit the trails and sometimes go off the beaten path. Woo! Which is where I quickly found my limits.
I'll tell you, keeping up with Zach and his crew isn't always easy. Sometimes I just gotta get off and watch it go by.
You okay, Mr. Norris?
And just like real life, things don't always go as planned.
Halfway through, I was like, what's that sound? And then I checked down, I'm like, both my tires are flat.
All right.
With every mile, they're building muscle, self-confidence, and even new friendships.
We have kids that are in band, and then we have kids that are in ROTC. We have kids that are in no extracurricular, and they come to the bike club. It's like, whoa, like this is pretty cool.
Just a great overall club.
Taft Principal Aurelio Hernandez says the club has a way of encouraging kids to step out and become part of something bigger.
You know, a lot of them started off as, shy freshmen or shy sophomores, and they've become part of something. And with that, you've seen them flourish. You've seen them absolutely, interact with each other a little bit more, interact with others.
Zach worked hard to build the club into something great, and all that hard work is paying off.
So I was able to sponsor with Trek, and I was able to sponsor with a lot of sponsors, and they were able to donate bikes, they were able to donate money, some pumps so we could pump air in our tires. We got to meet with the mayor, we got recognition from our council people. Like it's been a fun journey. All right, let's head back. So I think it's a pretty good thing we got going on. My special heart brought us a long way.
That's pretty awesome. I will say that this time of year, they're probably pretty selective as to when they decide to ride the trails and their bikes. But yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're very, very proud of the students at Taft, as we are all of our high schools and students across the district. So with that, that really...
I think we have you in
here.
the audience.
Well, yeah, real quickly, y'all want to introduce yourselves, if you don't mind, please.
Come on up.
Where's the bicycle? Okay. My name is Zachary Carrasco, proud president of the Taft Bike Club. I started because at the age of 3, I was diagnosed with a congenital heart defect, which restricted me to doing a lot of, sports. And I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta do something because I know there's kids out there just like me. And so that's exactly what I did. I started a club, and I wanted to make it for everyone. It doesn't matter if you have a disability or not. You can join the club. You're here. I'm listening for you. I'm here for you. And so I did, and I started at Briscoe Middle School with 5 members, and next year our enrollment is 60 plus.
Wow.
So
That's awesome.
we're excited.
That's awesome. Good for you, Zach.
Thank you.
Great job. Great job.
Hello, I am Gabriel Ariola. I'm the parliamentarian of the Bike Club, and I joined the club this year. And the reason why I joined was because I liked what he's trying to do with the school. I support his ideas of trying to bring everybody from all sorts of different groups and just basically putting them all into one group. I think it's very great what he's doing, honestly, and I feel like it's really bringing some good into the school.
Awesome. Awesome. Good to meet you, Gabriel.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Obregon. I'm the historian for the Bike Club. Honestly, I just love the inclusivity factor into the whole Bike Club. I liked how everyone can just join in and just have a good time. That's honestly why I joined. And also I support Zach entirely. Been his neighbor for a long time, so I support him.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, guys. I know that you probably weren't planning on speaking tonight, so I kind of put you on the spot, but great job. And Zach, love your vision. You guys keep pedaling full speed ahead, no pun intended. With that, that concludes my report, Madam President.
Wait, before Zach leaves.
Zach,
I think
we'd like to make some comments if you don't mind. Okay. Ms. Zapata.
I just wanted to say what an awesome organization. I'm coming from the physical education background, and so just being able to bring something like this not only to your school but to the community, don't stop. Continue to get those resources, and I liked how you reached out to your city council person because that's where it starts, and just you're socializing, you're exercising, you're exploring your rec spaces. And that's what we want everybody to do. So I congratulate you for that. It's awesome. It's before you know it's going to blow up. And there's so many organizations out there that will help you. You got to just keep throwing it out there. Okay. So thank you so much for doing that. That's awesome.
Dr. Hall?
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, if you will email, our emails are on the webpage. You can email us when your next ride is. You might have a couple trustees who want to join you, okay? So that's something very near and dear to our heart is the physical wellness, but also the mental wellness. I mean, you guys are gems for being here and recognizing that, so thank you very much. And then, are you a senior this year? You're going to be a junior. Okay, so you don't have to worry about a succession plan. So, but you might want to think about after you graduate, because we don't want this program, like Ms. Zapata said, to die. It is incredible. And thank you for supporting him. I mean, it must be a rough crowd that there's a parliamentarian and, not too fast, slow down. No, I'm joking. No, but thank you, gentlemen, very, very much.
Zach, one of my best friends has that congenital heart disease since she was born. She's having her 7th surgery. And so if you ever need a mentor, she's living a good life now. It hasn't been an easy road, but we're here to support you. And I have a few bikes that I'm no longer using. I'd like to give if someone needs it. So let me know. They're not brand new, but they're just sitting in the garage. Thank you. Okay, so now we're moving on to our board members' reports. And if you'd like to make a comment, please let me know. Dr. Hassel.
I just wanted to kind of go over, since the last time we met, I'm extremely thankful the Great Northwest invited me to a watch meeting, so I was able to go to their neighborhood meeting. I also was able to go to Thunderbird Hills neighborhood meeting. So just wanted to mention if there's any other neighborhood meetings that I could be invited to. I'd like to go out and meet individuals. I know starting in September, I'll reach out to the schools and really be more active and get to know everyone. But I also want to be active in the community and make sure that, even if you don't have kids, making sure that you're aware of what's going on here at Northside. Also super thankful to Megan and Barry. I was able to meet with both of them last week, or was it last week? A couple of weeks ago. I'm making it a point to meet with I think it's like 7 of the directs that are really impactful here at Northside, just making sure that I learn a little bit more and really see how I can advocate for different departments and really kind of get a sense of, and I kind of, I know I kind of put everyone like, what are we talking about? I was like, it's really just to get to know you. I said, I hear many times here on the board, our interaction with the cabinet is many times just like, can you get me this? Can you get me that? Hey, how about this? How about this other report? How about this other number? I'm like, I want to get to know the person. Like, I want to get to know you to get a sense of, why do you love Northside and why, how can I help with your vision of what you have for your department and your vision for Northside. So extremely thankful. I know I'm meeting with everyone else either tomorrow or next week. So I'm extremely thankful that you all made time in your schedule to just really get to know you and your team. And then, like I mentioned, really planning to visit some of the schools in September to give everyone time in August. I did have some schools reach out, so I do have some already scheduled, but just excited really to get to know the schools in the district and see how things are going and how, as a board member, can I help to advocate for our schools. So that's it. Thank you.
Dr. Harrell?
Yeah, I just had a couple of announcements. This Saturday, one of the organizations, I think, Dr. Ron, you belong to it too, the San Antonio Leaders and Teachers, SALT, is sponsoring a Teacher Fest. It's totally free. It's for educators anywhere and everywhere in Bexar County or anywhere who happen to be in San Antonio this Saturday from 1 to 4. It's at the Whitty Museum. And last year we had 400 or 500. There's educators come, a lot from Northside, a lot of freebies, a lot of community resources, a lot of networking with teachers and educators from all area school districts. So come to a free event. There's music, there's food, there's lots of fun. You may have to wait in line a little bit. We did let the flow go so that we stayed within the fire code, but it's a fun event. A lot of city leaders come too. So anyway, again, this Saturday from 1 to 4. Also starting tomorrow night, San Antonio Film Festival has several Northside alumni that are showcasing their films. Tomorrow night it's Stitched, And we have 3 John Marshall alumni, Zach Goodwin, Jordan Gilhold, I'm not saying it right, Gilhold, and Kyle Ward. And so their film is stitched. And so it's interesting because we've had some pillars from Marshall that have gone into the film industry. So there must be something that's going on there. But anyway, and even if we didn't have graduates and alumni going there, it's a great film festival. So, and it's $15 a person, lots of fun for little money. And then thank you, Janice, and all your team this summer. All the summer offerings were great. I know my grandkids loved it, and really well organized, lots of fun. The GT one was out of this world, and so never a dull moment, but thanks a lot.
Mr. Salcido?
Yeah, just something real quick. John Jay Back to School Bash is this Saturday from 8 to 12. I think you must register on the QR code or something. You can go down to their website. But they got shots, haircuts, and shoes, and produce giveaways, just a big old, like 30 vendors or something like that. So it's a pretty big deal every year. And also, football season right around the corner. I want to congratulate Sotomayor and Clark for getting nominated for this year's Pigskin, KSAT 12 Pigskin Classic. It's a great way to showcase 2 of our schools. I believe this is the first time 2 Northside schools are playing, right? It's usually East, North.
I don't want to commit to that. I don't know if it's the first.
I think it's usually Northeast or Bernie, one of those 2 schools. But I was surprised to see Clark and Sotomayor. I've got connections to both, so I don't know who I'm going to go for. So it's kind of like.
Halftime you switch.
Yeah, I guess.
Stand right underneath the goalpost.
Right.
Thank you. Mr. Blount?
Just a couple items. The first one, I'm so happy I sent enough to have to craft, and then also Dr. Jordan. We were fortunate that the Air Force Cryptologic Cyber and Systems Division, we've been a long-term partner through the Northside Education Foundation with them. But they have already, and this is the earliest I've ever seen it, as well as I think the highest amount that we've received funding from them. They said through the foundation they're continuing to support, fully support solar cars, Science Bowl. Then they're also supporting STEM Sisters and robotics. So it was great to see that support. And when they do that, they don't just provide funding; they provide all kinds of resources. So that was some great news to see. The other one I bring up is the reading competition. We are continuing to meet on running through the Bexar County School Board Coalition and primarily our Northside Library Office and some other partners. It's a big undertaking, but we're definitely ready to do that. So it will be a citywide and actually broader, other cities too, to continue what the NCAA did last year. So that's really good. And then 2 people, I'm gonna do this, ran into. One was another former track star that we had that achieved at the state level. He was a 400-meter hurdler. Anyway, I'd asked him about Tate Taylor. He said, oh, yeah, I got to meet him the other week. He said what blew him away, and this is typical of any great athlete, he said Tate Taylor knew more about him than he knew about Tate Taylor. He knew about his records. He knew what he'd done in Northside. He, like most great athletes, they study other athletes and knew his history extremely well. So that was fascinating because that athlete was actually 5 or 6 years ago. So I imagine he knows all kinds of other history too.
That is interesting.
And the last one I'll bring up, we run into a lot of people that remind us of our long-term culture. I saw Dub Ferris, for those who remember Dub Ferris, yesterday. And I've always liked Dub, his whole mannerism. He was our athletic director that we named the facility after. But just fascinating to have a conversation with him and to get feedback on him. He keeps tab on Northside. His continued positive impression and his hope and dreams for Northside. So I wanted to bring that up too.
Thank you, sir. And I'd just like to thank everyone that worked summer school. I know that you gave up a little bit of your summer, but we helped our students reach their graduation milestone, which is tomorrow for summer graduation. So I always love that. I want to also continue to give a shout out to our crisis counselors that were helping out there, and offer really our condolences to all those families that are still hurting. And I was really proud to read about one of my prior students, Ainsley Bashara, that was out there helping the young girls, and two other young ladies, Silvana Garza Valdez and Maria Paula Zarate, that helped guide some young girls into safety. And so I just want to thank her. I know her mom is very proud of Ainsley. I was able to talk to Tate also at the Gatorade highlight, and I told him, Tate, don't forget about the little people. He's like, I won't miss. But you see those athletes and you see them make it, and a lot of them do come back, right? And so that's what we're hoping with anyone that's a product of Northside to come back. And there was these young freshmen that were just like in awe of Tate, watching him get, this recognition. And there's always someone watching you, right? And everything that we do in leadership. So just really proud of our young people, saving lives and making an impact in our community. So that's all I have. Thank you, sir. And now we're moving on to the citizens to be heard section. So, yes, sir.
I was going to let tech service know. It took me a half hour, but I finally figured out what my password was. Anyway.
He wants a sticker. A digital badge, please.
I don't know if he wants a sticker or he wants to give Chris Trejo a sticker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Zapata had a comment. Sorry. I skipped her. My bad.
Yeah, just real quick, and I know everyone's having back-to-school bashes, but it is Councilwoman Mesa Gonzalez. This Saturday is also having one at the San Antonio Firefighters Banquet Hall in the Colonies North area. And that one is free, and they're going to have a lot of city resources out there, SAPD, Food Bank, CPS, from 9 to 12, and it's completely free. And also want to just welcome back the administrators and staff. I know it's a short summer, and just have to prepare for the new school year, and just welcome them back. And I know they're incorporating some new procedures and just welcoming new teachers and staff. So welcome back. I know it's a short summer, but got to get ready to go.
And thank you to communities and schools for doing all the back to school, stuff the bus. Please stuff those buses because they do come back to us, and all over the city of San Antonio, they do deliver those school supplies for us, and it helps some of us that don't have to buy the tissues and all the things that we would buy out of our pocket do come back to our students. So thank you all for doing that. Okay, now citizens to be heard. And with that, we do believe citizens to be heard is important and meaningful when we listen to what you have to say. We value your opinions. Although we are restrained by law from taking any action, please make sure that you address remarks to the board and confine your remarks to a Northside policy or practice and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. At 3 minutes, you're going to be asked to wrap up your remarks, and please don't make any personal attacks on individuals. Thank you.
We have two individuals signed up. First to speak this evening is Isabella Gaya.
Good evening. I don't know if this is on or not. Where? Yeah. It is on? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Dr. Kraft, Board of Trustees. I'm Isabella Gia. I am excuse me. It's been a long day today. I'm a disabled veteran. I'm San Antonio native, graduated from Kennedy High School, moved my family up here. It was better for my sons as far as the school district is concerned. I have been a community member at a certain high school since 2016. Didn't know too much of it. It was very accepting. Had a big family, loved it. Everybody was accepting everybody. You got there and they took you under their wing and they taught you the things of band and how to be a band mom. I was an ROTC kid. There's a lot that has to go on for a band, and I did not know this. So it was an undertaking for me. It was a lot to take on. I was medically separated in 2014, so there was a lot that was going on when my son became a freshman in 2016. I learned bits and pieces of everything that was going on. In 2020, my sons did not want to play an instrument over a screen, so they did not attend. Then they decided, oh, well, we needed an elective, so they jumped right back into it. So there we go again, running band mom, doing what we have to do. It's a lot to undertake. It's literally taking on an extra 40-plus hour work week, but you're volunteering. The only payment that you get is to see the smile on your kid's face. There was a lot of questions when I came back from other parents asking, hey, what's going on with this? Do you know what's this? Do you know what's that? I was like, wait a minute, we have bylaws we have to follow. So I tried guiding those who were asking me questions. I reached out and I asked the current principal for guidance on how to take care of stuff, the vice principal on how to take care of stuff. I even came to the Board of Trustees and I brought up some nepotism that was going on and other misappropriations of funds. The community that we had built, that I had put my time and effort into with my sons, was in the deficit of over $20,000. So a lot of cleanup had to take over. People have been moved around, stuff is going on. Recently, I've been trying to help clean up a whole bunch of stuff to the point that I literally volunteered myself as tribute for the concessions vice president of this certain community. That is a lot to undertake. Concessions for football games, especially for the pigskin and everything else, it's a lot. You have to get even more people now to volunteer, 20 people. But you currently have a director who is trying to bypass UIL laws. And I don't want to see a certain community get kicked off because of this. So it's been brought to certain emails, attentions, as well as superintendents, and I believe Dr. Kraft has been CC'd on some of the stuff as well. It's an ongoing thing, and I just want to bring this to y'all's attention as well, without putting a lot of info out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gaia. Next signed up is Andrew Siller.
Good evening, Board. I'm just going to keep this short and sweet. Mostly, I wanted to ask for a little bit more insight about House Bill 2, Article 5, with the early literacy and numeracy, as to when or if there will be it will be implemented for the 25-26 school year regarding free pre-K at Northside for public school teachers. That's mostly all I wanted to say, was to get more insight. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Andrew, I think we can probably address that item here momentarily with the budget conversation if you want to stick around.
Okay, sounds good.
That concludes citizens to be heard.
All right. So we're going to move on to our next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. So these are items that are considered routine and are recurring in nature. So do we have any motions?
I just had a quick question on that.
Okay.
The 4-H one. It was addressed to Dr. Woods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make a big difference if he's going to sign a legal document?
I think we're okay. Dr. Hasso brought that to my attention as well. We, I think, have reached out to the organization asking them to update the contact information, but I think the agreement itself is very standard. The resolution, like I say, is one that we've had implemented for years and years. So I think even though it's addressed to Dr. Woods, we'll make that correction. The resolution itself is factual and correct.
You also notice that the one requesting it, he's also the one that's getting the job too, right?
I'm sorry.
The one that's requesting it, Sam Womble?
Oh, Womble.
He's also on that list as an appointment.
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry. The person that's requesting that extension, he's part of the appointment.
The adjunct faculty member.
Yeah.
Yes, he's with Texas A&M University. Yeah, you'll see his.
But he's requesting to be one of the teachers, right?
Yes, one of the adjunct professors.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can explain a little bit more. What happens with 4-H is this allows, in essence, the students that participate in these county extension opportunities stock show, et cetera, to be counted as attendance in school for ADA purposes, even though they're probably going to be off-site at a stock show or venue, in essence. And the county extension agents that you have listed on page 4, in essence, are considered to be the teacher of record for that day.
I had something to add.
Okay, Dr.
So I know when, like in normal circumstances, we have an individual that's not credentialed to be a teacher. We have like their degree. We also have their years of experience. And I know like some of these degrees don't really correlate with what they're going to be teaching. So I didn't know if that's a practice to not also have, because I'm making the assumption, right? I mean, that they have the years of experience.
I think this is maybe a little bit different in the sense of, I mean, it really purely is allowing the district the ability, like I say, to capture the ADA. And Dr. Jordan, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I don't think that the degree within this particular activity is important. We're talking about a few days, and really it's, like I say, for stock show purposes.
Agreed. It's mostly stock show, after school. They're showing animals. They're sometimes it could even be horticulture where they're tending different plants. And so those individuals may not have the exact degree, but we've had these types of agreements in place for over a decade or beyond. Now that's different from the school district teaching permit, which is also on here, where those teachers don't have certification, but they have degrees in the areas where students are actually getting specific CTE credit for certain courses.
And then I guess my second question is, these are all Texas A&M College Station employees, correct? Like background checks are done on the Texas A&M College side.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got Texas State, Incarnate Word, and then A&M. Exactly.
Oh, wait. No, that's where they got their degrees, isn't it? Or that's the institution they're working at?
I believe that's the institution that they are serving.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I thought that was the degrees that
Okay,
they
I
got with
apologize.
the institute.
I'm
I thought they all worked at College Station and they all got
Graduated, right, from these institutions.
Yeah, the degrees that they got in this institution.
You are correct. I apologize.
And then I just wanted to make sure, one, like they're all background checked individuals that work for Texas A&M College Station, because obviously they're around students for maybe not an extended amount of time, but still a good amount of time. And then, my only question was like some of these degrees, and I get it. I mean, with horticulture, you really just need like a cert and like the experience. So it was just like,
It looks like on the letterhead, though, Dr. Hassel, it says beartexastamu.edu. So it's this Bear County Extension Office that would be the hiring. But yes, they should have the same hiring practices.
Yeah, if they're going to be working with our students, they will have to have, like I say, the background check in order to be able to do so. It would be very similar to any process for any other volunteer to be working with our students. We can verify, and like I said, we can bring this particular resolution back. I don't think it's time sensitive. We can bring it back to the meeting on the 12th.
And it mentioned specifically that these adjunct professors are in good standing with AgriLife, and so with the organization, and so that good standing includes that they've been vetted, but we could bring back more detail about kind of the standards of AgriLife if that's helpful, or we can include it in Friday letter.
So do you want more clarification, Dr. Hassel, as far as like what's the student background check on the north side end to deal with our students? Like do we do anything from the HR side on our end?
To my knowledge, these faculty are already background checked, but we could verify those specific questions.
Just like a verification. I mean, I think great organization. I've worked with them. I'm not like, I'm just like,
No, it's a good
hey,
question.
they work, I work with college students. So there's a little less of, I mean, still a concern, but you know, so my only question is obviously they're working with high school students. And so I know it's something we've been doing for many, many years, but because I'm like, I'm making the assumption that they're College Station employees. So then obviously, yes, they go through a full background check on that and similar to our NISD background check. But if, just a question if they do
No,
or if they don't.
absolutely, and we will definitely verify and provide, like I say, that follow-up in Friday letter. If they're not, they will be, or we will bring, like I say, this agreement back, but they'll have to be in order to be able to, like I say, work with our students.
So do we want to bring that back, or do we want to go ahead and include it in our consent agenda? We want to pull this item?
We can pull the item and bring it back on the 12th.
Okay.
Like I say,
We have a motion
we'll have
for that?
them clean up the name as well. Not that Dr. Woods is a bad guy or anything, but
Yeah, we already knew, like, we were already going to pull it regardless, probably because of the name
He's been here
wasn't
2 years.
accurate.
Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah, that kind of, yeah, that was one of those things.
it takes about 10 for people to get
Yeah,
accustomed.
that was one of those things that it's like, oh, if the name's not right, like that kind of makes me look into what's going,
Anything else,
like
right?
what else is going on. So, I mean, like I
We'll bring it
said,
back.
great organization, it's just questions on that end. So I make a motion to pull the Ag Life document from the consent agenda and bring it to the next meeting.
And approve the consent agenda?
Oh, yes, and approve the consent agenda.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Salcedo seconds that. Okay. So, consent agenda has been passed with the exception of item F, which will bring back August meeting. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion's passed to approve the consent agenda minus item F. Thank you. All right, so we are now on our next item.
I believe we're ready for item number 6, which we'd like to provide an update. Brian Wiggins is going to provide just a quick update to our boardroom remodel. If you recall, Mr. Blunt was the recipient of the James B. Crow TASB Leadership Award and elected at that time to have the funds, proceeds received as a result of that award to go towards the updating the boardroom. And so Brian has a very quick overview as to what you can expect here in the coming days.
Good evening, everyone. As Dr. Kraft said, I will keep it very brief to give you an update on where we are with this update to our boardroom. So these are the items we are going to be covering. So of course the purpose is to upgrade the boardroom with the award that Mr. Blunt was awarded through the James B. Crow Foundation. A little bit of background. We initially brought this to you in January of this year, and things we discussed was removing, and some of them we have already done, removed the frames of the past board members. As you can see, they are now gone. We were making room for student artwork or pictures, which as you can see, we have done. The only thing that we have not done is a display TV that we were looking at. When we brought this, some of the feedback that we got was, what would we display on there? How would it be used outside of the board meetings? Would it be visible for citizens? And could it be used as, the visual timer, which I can see we had up on the screen as well. So the funding, of course, is the $10,000 that was awarded to Mr. Blunt. What we were using that on is for the construction of the display, the actual display, and any programming that was needed to make the things happen on it. So this is what the boardroom used to look like, if you recall. Those are all the frames that have since been removed. This was our original proposal, was to have a big TV standing on this wall, but that's when the questions came up is, how is it used if we're not in a board meeting? Because that's the only time that the public comes in this room. And then if we were to have it on during a board meeting, would it be distracting if we had like artwork going through there? Would people be looking at that instead of listening to what we were saying? So we kind of chose a different location. So we are looking at the outside, which is right behind this wall right here, right as you walk in the doors over here, is kind of where we're looking at putting that. So as you can see, we kind of, same concept, we'll fur out a wall, put some paint on it to match the wall in the back, and we have a 55-inch display TV that we are proposing there. As those doors open, that's because as we keep those open since it's a public meeting, it will not interfere with that display, which is why it's sized the way it is. Another view of it looking from the desk. What this allows, of course, is visitors will be able to see that even if the room is closed. So we will be able to have that on during the time of day, any time of day. You'll be able to see it from the seating lobby that we have created out here. You can also use it to assist with board meetings out there. We can pretty much display just about anything we want on there. As you can see on the content, it can serve as a marquee. We could also run the pictures that are now at the museum and being scanned. All the ones that we took down, all those pictures are being scanned, so we'll have them in digital. Should we want, we could just run them kind of like a screensaver on there. You could use it as a schedule like they do at NAC. I'm sure we've all been, when you walk into NAC, they have that TV right when you walk in. It says what meetings are where, what room they're in. It could use that. We could use it as video feeds. We can pretty much do just about anything. Right now we're going to keep it kind of simple. We could display the artwork if we get digital artwork from students. We could use it to market the district for anybody who walks into the building, just to kind of take a look at that screen. But we felt with it being out there, it would get more visibility out there. So we are, of course, as you saw, we're recommending building out that wall, one that meets ADA, because ADA says it can only stick out 4 inches. So when we fur that wall out, it allows that TV screen to fit in there. Then we would just, in essence, like I said, it's a 55-inch monitor that we would put in there. We are looking at possibly getting the infrastructure from the wall right here, because we already have a lot of that. We can run through the ceiling, as you can kind of see wires already going up over there. So we're feeling that'll be the least invasive to kind of get all the wiring that is needed. Like I said, at first, we're keeping it kind of simple, just displaying pictures and messaging. But of course, as we go forward, we are looking at and getting with technology on possibly maybe it's a live feed for what we're doing during board meetings. So as we get full and if people out there, you can do the live feed out there so they can see out there, have the video moment, everything that's shown out there if everybody's not allowed, instead of having everybody peek in the doorway like we're used to. Could be an interactive display possibly. It would require a different TV than what we're buying at first, but maybe it's a touch screen that, we could look into in the future. So that is a possibility as well. Integrate with our social media feeds. Maybe as we post stuff, to various departments, maybe they're showing up on that screen. Those are all possibilities. Like I said, our first step is a regular TV monitor that will kind of work probably off a computer that's probably here, and then we can program to display kind of whatever we want. Timeline. So if we get the go-ahead, I will engage an architect to kind of draw up plans, and we're figuring that's going to take them about 2 to 3 weeks. Should be pretty simple. Give 2 weeks for contractors to price it, and then construction's about another 3 to 4 weeks. So the whole process, roughly about 2 weeks. Some of the considerations that we're looking at is, how long does it take to get that TV? I think they're pretty readily available, so I'm not real concerned with getting a 55-inch TV. Bidding during the summer, we're coming to the end of the summer, so a lot of contractors, the smaller time contractors are finishing up work because they have all their summer work. So as we're getting to the end, we're kind of hoping we're going to get some good pricing because they're looking to keep their year going. All their stuff is happening over summer. Just kind of programming. We're still kind of vetting everything and how the programming works, so there may be a little delay in that. The big issue is the closing of these doors, because as we're trying to construct that wall, of course, we would want to close these doors here to allow the contractor to build it. The possibility does exist of having them work at nights and on the weekends, but of course that just lengthens the timeline. So we would probably go from 2 to 3 weeks to maybe 2 months or so, and because they're building, cleaning up every night. So it just lengthens that process, which also adds money. The longer it goes, the more it costs. So as I figure, we could probably just leave the doors open over here. If we just close this, you'll probably miss maybe 1 board meeting where that's closed, possibility of 2, just depending on when we start. But we could get everybody to come in over here. We would still have access to the C&I doors over here. We could just wall off, in essence, where the VCT is and leave the carpet open. Contractor could enter through that door without disturbing anybody. And like I said, for a month at most, I think it would be definitely doable. Other than that, how we're still kind of determining exactly where we would control it. We were thinking here, but maybe it's at the receptionist desk. Maybe there's a computer there that we could use that for. So that's kind of where we are. And unless anybody has any questions.
Dr. Hassel? That's old, okay. Mr. Blount?
One quick question. The audio is coming from the monitor?
Right now, we are planning, yes, the audio would come from the monitor. I mean, we could look at speakers, but that is not, of course, that would be a little future. We could also add those as well.
Okay, thank you.
I believe we have speakers that are already linked out in the foyer area, so we can probably, like I say, link those in. One other item, with the board's permission, that we'd like to add, it came up actually in our most recent building committee, was ensuring that we have our mission statement in the boardroom to transform the learning experience for students. And so Barry and I were discussing it earlier. We think we'd like to use this wall to your left to have our mission statement posted in a pretty nice, probably block letter font, like I say, attached to the wall. Like I say, with your permission, on this wall right here.
He's thinking of
This one right here.
Yeah.
So this item is just up for discussion. There's no action tonight, right? We've already approved it.
Yeah, I mean, unless anybody has any issues, we'll probably move forward. I think we brought it to make sure y'all knew where we were going. And if there was any questions or objections, we'll move forward with it if not.
I think we're good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby. We need you to win more awards. This is great.
Thank you. And so our next agenda item is business and finance.
I'll turn this item directly over to Megan, and we'll get started.
Thank you. Our first item is asking the board to take action to set the date of August 26th as our date of our public hearing for our budget and tax rate adoption. We are required to set a date so that we can publicize that with a notice, and so I'm asking for our regularly scheduled board meeting of August 26th to be that date. 26th, 26th. And this is an action item.
Do we have any motions on the board? Any questions?
I'll move approval.
Okay, Mr. Blunt? Any seconds? Mrs. Zapata? All right, so all in favor to go ahead and approve that on August 26th, we're going to have a public meeting to discuss the budget and proposed tax rate. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion's passed.
Okay. Our next item, if you're ready for me to go forward, I would like to introduce Jake Smiley. He is our Director of Budget, and he is going to cover this item for me this evening.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'll be going over local revenue in excess of entitlement. We'll kind of talk about the what, the when, the why, all of those items. So last week we received a letter from TEA that was notifying us that we have possible local revenue in excess of entitlement for Tier 2 revenue. We've got this for the last 4 years, so we'll go through a little bit more of the details in these topics. So what is local revenue in excess of entitlement? This is when the district essentially receives more tax collections than the state allotment for our estimated attendance. There's two different types. We've got Tier 1 and Tier 2. Either one is commonly known as recapture, Robin Hood, or Chapter 49 is the Texas Education Code that it relies in now. So Tier 1 revenue, that would be our maximum compressed tax rate. With that, that's set by the state, so we have no option there. The Tier 2 piece is tied to the copper pennies. So the copper pennies, we have to go out for a voter-approved tax rate election to get those pennies, and we don't have those now. This is a detailed calculation of those two different tiered revenue sources. So as you'll see at the bottom, I won't go through the detail. NISD does not meet either of those options. So why am I here talking through all this, you might be saying. And so the deal here is TEA doesn't know where we're at in our tax rate election process. So they assume in this calculation that we are adopting all 9 pennies of the copper pennies, and then they tell us that if you do this, we are going to owe this money. So at this point, NISD has no plans of doing a voter-approved tax rate election at this point in the year. So we are not going to be subject to recapture. This next slide kind of goes over by tier our tax rate. So we've got our Tier 1 tax rate at the bottom in that green. The next two levels are Tier 2 Level 1 revenue. So those are the golden pennies. Those are never subject to recapture. We only have the 5 golden pennies that you'll see in the green. And then the gray cells there are the copper pennies. Those are the ones that the letter's about for today. But we don't have access to the 3 golden pennies or the 9 copper pennies without an election. So right now, we are not going to be sending any money back to the state. So required next step, TEA does, they do require boards to take action. There's 5 different options that we could choose to do, but districts typically take option 3, which is to net the purchase of attendance credits against our state revenue. So I recommend, if you don't have any questions, please ask, but I recommend that we approve the agreement for the purchase of attendance credits and delegate the authority to the superintendent to submit this agreement.
There's one more slide.
There's one more
This is the
slide.
important
Just
one.
to say one more time, we are not going to send any money back to the state. We will not have excess revenue this year in 25-26.
Dr. Hall.
Okay, can you, because this is new to me. I don't remember this last, like, every July talking about this. So can you reframe this story one more time? Every July, TEA will notify school districts, right? So every July, we've supposedly been notified, right?
Yes, ma'am.
That we have local revenue in excess of entitlement for one or both tiers. And so we got notification that we do have Tier 2.
Level 2.
Level 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
if we were to pass those, if we had a Vader and adopted any of those copper pennies, we could be at risk of having to send some of it back to the state.
okay, and they didn't have, I mean, wouldn't they have been notified that we
No,
had
because
done
we
that?
would not actually do that until the August board meeting. So
Oh,
we
so-
would call the election at the time you set a tax rate. And so they don't know right now if we're going to do that or not. So they required us to put this on file with them, just in
gotcha.
case we do call that board meeting for this time.
Okay.
And then they would know what we're planning to do to alleviate their concern.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't required until September 1st to be done, when we have to approve our tax rate. But we'd like to take it forward in July, so since we have so much coming through in August in that meeting.
Do other districts do
Yes,
it
ma'am.
sooner? So they don't have to do all this extra work, it seems?
I think they would still have to do this.
Okay.
So I don't think there is a way to do it sooner. The TA is still going to require that we have this in place and filed with them, and that the superintendent will submit it through TEAL. I don't think there's any way to not take action to choose one of the 5 items that Jay talked about. And again, the most common one is the third one, that if we did need to buy down our revenue, we would exchange attendance credits for it. And that's, last meeting, Ms. Freeman talked about, are we a recapture district or not?
Right.
We're not, because we don't have to do this, but what this exercise shows is that if we did have the copper pennies, we might have to send some back. And every year's a little different, because the tax values change, and,
Okay.
you know, so it's, so they're trying to be proactive based on the information they have at the time.
Okay.
Okay, and Mr. Gaunt?
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know, I hesitate when you say proactive, because to me, it's actually the opposite. Also because they haven't,
Right.
yeah.
I can see what
What,
you're saying.
what policy, law, or whatever else do we look at getting changed so that TEA doesn't do this to district per se? It's got to be written somewhere, but maybe we should be saying, wait a minute, until you have information otherwise, which can be attained later, then we shouldn't have to go through these extra exercises, because our staff has other things we really want them focused on.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that it's necessarily as much TEA through rulemaking and/or administrative regulation, if you will, as it is actually state funding and school finance law. So it probably have to be changed legislatively.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe the letter we received from TA is loaded in board docs, and it talks about the estimates are created under Texas Education Code 48.269. I believe that's the section,
Okay.
because it calls for the commissioner to have to come in and use the estimates to do this calculation.
I just don't went to this deep, but that's fine. So we may want to look at that, you know, we're talking about legislative policy, et cetera.
Going forward.
Yeah.
I don't know that we can get it knocked out this special
Oh,
session.
well, you never know, but that's fine.
Depends on if there's a second call or not.
They're a little busy. Thank you.
This is an action item also.
Okay, do we have any motions to go ahead and approve the recommendation?
Yeah, so moved. I'll move approval.
Mr. Blunt, any second? Ms. Zapata?
I have a question. So this is it's an action item. Does it have to be voted on today? I understand being proactive.
No, we could vote anytime prior to adopting our tax rate. So if
we could
that
bring
came
it
to our
back.
last
Another
meeting in
August.
August, we would have to have this item before our tax rate adoption.
We could bring it back on the 12th.
Okay.
Short answer.
Why would we bring it back on the, what do we think's missing?
I don't know if we
Okay,
want to
good.
explore a different option. Like I say, this is really just the option, if it were to be exercised, to go ahead and purchase the attendance credits. But as Jake indicated, it's going to be a moot
Yeah.
item. You'll see here momentarily with our proposed fiscal year 2026 budget, we won't be sending money back to the state.
Correct.
But we can bring it back.
Yeah, just, I guess, more time to look over it.
Okay, so Dr. Hassel.
And then I'm looking at the slides and I'm hearing, but I'm like, maybe I missed it. Does the slides have the other options?
I have them in front of me, so they're a little less attractive.
Is that why? I was like, I know, I
can
heard
read through
everyone
them.
say, and he said them, and I was like,
No, so some of the
Where
other
did he
ones are
say them?
consolidation with another district.
No?
Let's see, detachment of territory.
Oh,
So that would mean splitting your district off. Education of non-resident students as provided by subchapter E.
Okay.
Taking on other students, and then tax-based consolidation with another district. So this is historically most likely the only one that's selected, except in very
How many years have we selected this?
4 years.
4
This is
years.
our 4th year,
Right.
if we select tonight. So
And if I could, and attached in your board docs, the document that is called Notification of Local Revenue Level and Nexus of Entitlement. On page 203, that is the TEA document. They go through those 5, and even TEA tells us that districts have historically selected option 3. And it tells us that we do have to adopt this, even if we do not expect that we're going to have to pay it. So that letter may be helpful to the board.
Okay, so we do have a motion did you want to make a motion, Ms. Zapata, to prolong this?
If we want to table
No,
it, like I say,
We could just
Yeah,
table
I
it?
think, I guess, be honest, process-wise, if the motion doesn't get a second, then you just go ahead.
There's no second
Yeah.
for you.
Then it naturally goes.
Okay, so we'll table this to our next board meeting.
yeah, we'll be glad to bring it back.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jay.
Is there any further information
That you would need?
needed to be provided by the administration before we move? on this
Those
year?
slides you shared about the other options, you think you could upload those just, they are there? Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
Yes, it is the letter that is in the document. I can tell you the name of it. I have it open. It is the TEA Annual Review of Local Revenue
Okay.
PDF that's attached. That is the letter that
I
tells
see
you.
that.
On page 2 of 3.
Oh, yes, the 5 options.
Yes, and if you
Okay.
see right below there, it says that the commissioner says that most districts select option 3.
Okay, well, we just review that for the next board meeting. Thank you so much. Page 2. Did you guys find it? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. All
Okay,
right.
we'll bring it back on the 12th.
Okay.
Next item, like I say, really is a look at our fiscal year 26, but also fiscal year 27 budget. And the reason that I highlight that is because as you approved compensation, and again, thank you for your diligence in that on that front. Obviously, that is a huge variable factor in constructing this year's budget, but also budgets going forward. So with that, Megan Bradley and her team have worked pretty diligently to be able to propose a very high view overview of where we stand from fiscal year 26 budget planning process and what you can anticipate to be proposed on the 12th, and then brought to you for consideration on the 26th. And so tonight really is just, like I say, an opportunity for you to have that initial full picture perspective of fiscal year 26 and fiscal year 27, a sneak peek, because I do think that as we have worked this spring in preparation for fiscal year 26, we also needed to look at fiscal year 27 as a result of really House Bill 2 in the legislative session. So with that, I'll turn it over to Megan, and we'll get started in looking at this year's budget.
Yes. Just waiting for the presentation to come up. So we have continued, again, Jake and Julie here are here to help support this item, and Tiffany, of course, is always involved in these presentations. We're going to go through some more detailed look now that the compensation plan has been adopted, as Dr. Kraft said, and thank you to the board for that compensation plan. So first, we're going to look at our general fund budget planning assumptions that we're using to build this budget. So I think it's important for our board to understand the critical items we are making assumptions on to build this budget. As our assumptions change, it does change the budget. So I think it's important for the board to understand what those assumptions are that we're using. First of all, we are assuming student enrollment using a refined average daily attendance of 91,500. That is based on a membership, so that's an enrollment or a membership of 97,300 with an attendance rate of 93.5. All of those have to go into the formula to make that calculation, and those are the numbers that we're working on, looking at our information from the school year that we just finished and using that data to estimate where we'll be for next year. We want to make sure the board knows that we have reduced our department budgets by $10.27 million through our zero-based budgeting process and the original 10% budget cuts that we were looking at for departments. And so that has been done and has been implemented. Also very important for the board to understand where we are budgeting our staffing. So we do not budget at 100% of our potential costs for staffing. We know that at any time we're going to have vacancies in our staffing. And so what Jake and Julie and their team does is they look at a scenario, and they used April 30th, 2025, and looked at the fill rates of all the different departments. And that on average, that fill rate was 94%. And so that is the average we're using. We do not use 94% across the board. So custodial may have a very different fill rate than school nutrition does. And they use that, those percentages based on those individual groups. But overall, the average is 94%. So I want the board to understand that. There is a slight risk in this, that if we have a fill rate that's higher than those percentages, that we'll need to add money to the budget as expenditures. We hope that is the case. We want to come back to you with a budget amendment that says we're going to spend more than we budgeted because our fill rates were higher. So just want the board to be aware of that. That is our goal, is to come back to do that with you. The next three items on the bottom row all go together. They kind of tell a story from left to right. So we look at our property value that we save tax revenue on, and our property values overall for our district, which is 3 different counties. We have Bexar County, Medina, and Bandera counties that are in Northside. And so overall, that property value growth has gone up 3%, which is a good percentage. And it is a growth, and that's important for the group to know, for the board to know. But because we are looking legislatively to increase our exemptions for homestead, over 65, and disabled exemptions, we will overall, when you look at the far right-hand side, see an effective taxable value decrease of 2%. That does affect our tax revenue, and so it's important for the board to understand that. I don't want the public to be concerned that they may say our values decreased when they really did not. If you think of a gross and a net situation, our gross values increased, but our net values decreased because of the exemptions. And we are assuming those exemptions will be voted on by the voters, and TEA tells us to assume that also. Historically, anytime the legislature has said we'll put forward a constitutional amendment to increase those exemptions, they've always passed. So they want us to go ahead and assume that. So I want you to be aware of that. So those are our big high-level assumptions we use to build this budget. Another piece of the assumptions is going back to staffing. So this next slide talks about our staffing levels. And you can see that our non-teacher staffing has been reduced by 85 positions through this year as we've done our zero-based budgeting and our budget considerations of trying to work on our deficit that we've seen. We have reduced 85 non-teacher staffing reductions, and we've reduced 414 teacher staffing. And those were achieved through the scenarios that you see on the bottom slide here. Debbie McNary has worked very closely with us to make sure that we are calculating this correctly based on the assumptions. The elementary schools are a ratio of a student-to-teacher ratio, and the middle school and high schools, they try to achieve an average. So their calculation is a little different on how they actually do that. We do not expect to reduce teachers further than this. So I want to make sure the board is aware, and Dr. Kraft may want to touch on that.
So as you recall, this conversation, we have to go back several months, really almost back to January, February. And this was the tough one, but this was also the big lever. And if you recall, when we began the conversation in and around trying to work to put the district on a financial track that is sustainable, we had two objectives. We wanted to protect jobs, and we wanted to protect programs, both curricular, extracurricular, co-curricular, which you'll see here momentarily we've been able to do. But this was a big variable similar to the compensation plan that you just approved, because we've been able to make the reduction. If you recall the graph that was presented very early on as we really came out of the 2020 school year, and we kept adding staff, whereas our student projection, if you recall, was an inverse relationship and declining. That's what we had to really right size. And that's what we've worked to do. And so, again, I know that it was a lot of effort on behalf of campus administrators, district administrators to get there. But to Megan's point, we had this conversation within our 3.5-hour cabinet meeting today. It really was 3.5 hours. I apologize, guys. Thanks for sticking with me. That this is it. I mean, we can't go any further without, in my assessment, really detrimentally impacting the quality of instruction that we're able to provide to students. Again, these are going to be averages, so and I think in many cases these are going to be much lower ratios realized, but like I say, when we look at the budget going forward, which again, I'm going to, not to steal Megan's thunder, we're on a much better fiscal track. This is just not going to be a lever that we can easily revisit. We have pushed this, in my assessment, about as far as we can possibly push it without really impacting the integrity of instruction and the quality that we're able to provide our students.
So to continue with that conversation, we are the top section, that non-teacher staffing reductions. We are still doing hiring reviews for any of the non-teacher positions as they come open to see if we can make further reductions to that top area, but not the bottom area. And I also want to point out, we've said it many times, that no one lost their job through this process. It was an attrition process, and so we really focused on protecting anyone who was at Northside and wanted to stay at Northside. We want them at Northside, and so that was a priority through this whole process. So while these are big numbers, I want to make sure that that is discussed and clear, that while people may have moved jobs, they still had a job with Northside, so that's important.
Dr. Hall has a question.
Real quick, so for pre-K through fourth, we go above 22 to 1, we have to do the waiver process again?
Correct.
Correct.
And I know we heard, at least I heard a lot, as this is starting to roll out in pre-K, K1 and 2 teachers are hearing they could possibly have 25 kids in their class, a lot of concerns. And I don't know how they were notified prior to tonight, but I mean, I have the same concerns. 25 pre-K kids is a lot, especially there's been a lot of behavioral issues, a lot of special ed testing in pre-K through first grade, second grade because of, I don't even want to say post-COVID, just because, right? And that's 25 little ones. That's a tough number.
Yeah.
And I get it, and I know it's putting more money back in the budget, but and I get what you're saying about quality of ed, but that's, of instruction, but that's a lot. That's a lot of little guys. So I'm just saying that out loud. I don't know, we don't vote on this, right? But it is, I have huge concerns about that.
Yeah, and we'll make sure, like I say, whether it be through the support of instructional aides, I mean, we don't want to create unsafe environments.
Right.
One of the provisions also that has been legislated, and it was mentioned earlier, so this is kind of a prime opportune time, there is legislation that provides employees that have students that are of pre-K age to attend preschool, to do so free of charge as long as they're employees of the district. And so that may change, like I say, our numbers of pre-K eligible, well, it will change our number of pre-K eligible students that would qualify under this provision, as well as those that qualify under our more traditional provisions, at risk, economically disadvantaged, et cetera. So this may be something that, I say that because this may be an area that we have to revisit as we get ready to start the school year. Again, we don't want any undue pressure or particularly unsafe environments, but we'll see. And keep in mind, too, that our pre-K and kindergarten student population has been where we've seen the greatest drop in student enrollment as well. We need to see really, truly what this population entails as we get ready to launch this school year.
And now, are they able to register now for these programs? Is that an open application now with the change of legislation to?
My understanding is yes, that we have
Yes.
registration going on.
And we'll start working to communicate that. We'll have to be careful, like I say, of capacity, similar to how we're treating open enrollment. But yes, they'll have that ability beginning September 1. So we'll enact it in essence. The law might not go into effect until September 1. We'll want the students to start August 11th.
And our pre-K
along with their parents.
programs do have instructional aides in those classrooms also. So that's an important piece to know, that they do have additional help.
They do.
In the classroom.
Oh, I know. Thanks.
The next piece I'm going to talk about is our House Bill 2 items that we are bringing into these scenarios, so that you're aware. This does not include all of the items in House Bill 2, and I don't plan to go through each one of these items. I just want the board to have them in front of you. There are more items in House Bill 2 and other legislation, I shouldn't just say House Bill 2, but the 89th legislature, that will affect our funding and affect the rules that we must follow and things we're going to implement. And many of those, because there were so many this session, the commissioner has said he's going to be rolling them out and the regulations out through the year. So kind of doing just in time as things become requirements. We will receive the guidelines for those requirements. So these are the things that we're tracking, that we are including in our budget and addressing right now. But there will be some other items on the horizon that we will need to address as the year goes on. So I wanted to make sure the board is aware of that. Mr. Blunt, did you have a question?
Yeah, just real quick.
Mr. Blunt.
If I'm next, okay. Just which one of these sort of negatively impact us? Because a lot of these are very positive. So if you saw that from the outside, you say, "Oh, okay, you know what I'm getting at." So they may not even be here, but keep us informed so we at least show that part too, to say, okay, these are the ones that negatively impact us.
I don't know that I would say any of them negatively affect us. However, like the top right, the early education allotment increases. The early education allotments come with required expenditures because we're going to do the math academies. So similar to the reading academies that we've had in place for a while. So while it provides additional revenue, it also requires additional expenditures.
Just
So,
like the school safety.
same thing,
Yeah,
right?
and
So there are
I'll pick. I'll pick on the most obvious, the basic allotment increase of $55. That's a far cry from the $1,350, $1,400 that we felt like we really needed just to keep up with inflationary pressures and the lack of state funding that hasn't been received since the legislative session recessed in 2019. So it's not we'll take $55 per student, but it's not $1,300. So thank you. I mean, it's not bad. It's not harmful, but it's definitely a far cry from what we really need.
Not great. So, but we'll take every penny they'll give us, so we'll go with that. Is there another question?
Dr. Hassel, Dr. Hassel, and then Dr. Harrell.
Not for finance, but something I wanted to ask for like future either on a Friday letter. What is our CCMR outcome percentage for spec ed students and just general pop? And then also where are we at with industry-based certifications? Just what is our, like what programs, but yeah, not finance, but on my mind. Thank you.
Yeah, that would be actually a really good topic, I think, for an upcoming academic committee meeting that we could, I think, will be ample opportunity to present that data if that is sufficient. And we can provide it in Friday letter as well if you're not able to make the academic meeting. I know, like I say, Dr. Jordan and Dr. Harrell are working to try to get that.
We already have
scheduled.
special ed on there too, so that'll
Perfect.
just fold right in.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely provide that information.
And just real quick question on the school safety allotment, roughly doubled. Is that still heavily based on hardening of the schools kind of thing, or was mental health actually mentioned in?
It's all inclusive, but again, it falls very short of really what we already have been spending to ensure our schools
Without that.
are safe.
Yeah.
So it's inclusive.
It is inclusive. There are mental health guidelines that have been increased, as well as we still have the hardening items also.
Okay, thank you.
Without getting into too much detail there. Okay. The next slide we're going to look at is tax rates. I know we talked the last meeting a lot about tax rates, and so I've gone back and at the board's request done a look at our area school districts. So I searched Bexar County area school districts and put the tax rates in here. Of course, this is not all Bexar County school districts, because we do have some school districts in Bexar County that are coterminous military districts that do not have a tax rate. So I want to make sure that I don't want to call it Bexar County because some in Bexar County do not have one. But you can see along the lines here that the blue color is the M&O or general fund tax rates for the school districts, and the orange is the INS tax rate. And we're going to dig into the M&O rate above the 5 cents additional that the board could approve with the golden pennies here in just a moment, but I just want to focus here that you can see north side and where we are and look across from left to right and compare that. We are not the lowest, but we are fairly low compared to some of the others there, and that's what I want the takeaway to be for the school board, to be able to see that we've done very well in managing the tax rate for our taxpayers.
Can you elaborate on what M&O means for those that don't know?
Yes. So M&O is the maintenance and operations, which is also the general fund. So it is our basic operating funding. And then the INS is that funding, that tax rate brings in the revenue that pays off our bonds that we've passed.
We're the top, lowest of the five lowest M&O, which is
Yes,
good.
yes. We're very low, yes.
Low overhead costs.
Yes. And part of that is because of the Vader. So we're going to look at the next slide that we'll go into. And so what we're looking at here, as we've talked about in our last budget meeting, so building on that learning, we talked about how the board was able, first of all, the legislature comes in and requires us to compress our tax rate. So there's that maximum compressed tax rate. On top of that maximum compressed tax rate, boards were able to adopt 5 golden pennies without having to go to voters to ask for those. All of the districts listed across the bottom have adopted those 5, including us at Northside. So what you see on this slide, anyone that has the blue line are districts that have gone out for a voter-approved tax rate rate election and have passed it. And so these are the pennies that they have above those 5 cents that their taxpayers are paying. So you can see very clearly Edgewood. Edgewood has adopted all of the available tax rate, so all of the golden pennies and all of the copper pennies. So the other districts you can see, South San ISD, Alamo Heights, I believe those both have only adopted the golden pennies, and then the others have adopted some of the copper pennies. So in the,
We invest more in our instruction, INS, right? INS is the top, one of the top 7 highest, so.
Our debt service?
Our debt service?
Investments and
I've got a
securities, right? Is that what INS?
No. So there are 2 tax rates, keep in mind. There's the maintenance and operation.
Okay.
And the maintenance and operation is to keep the machine running. whereas the INS or debt service, indebted services tax rate, is the mortgage. That's to pay for the bond programs of 2014, 2018, 2022, and as we're retiring debt, and we'll actually have a presentation, I believe, on the 12th, that kind of looks at our debt portfolio. We adjust that debt service rate or INS rate, but we're purely looking at tonight the maintenance and operation tax rate, which is what you just approved last week, to the tune of about 89% of our operating budget. It pays for electricity cost. It pays for transportation cost. Like I say, it is truly how we operate and function, other than the acquired debt that the community has approved through the exercise of bond elections.
So our INS tax rate is currently 33.55 cents. There are on this list 5 districts that are higher than we are. We're right in the middle. Our INS rate, we're right in the middle. M&O, we're actually on the lower end, as you can see here.
Okay, Dr. Hasso, thank you.
For number 5, is it possible to do it in a table chart instead with like the ISDs, the amount of M&O, and the amount of
I actually have that in front of me.
I
so
mean,
can
that's
compare it.
like
I will put that in Friday letter.
I'm like, well, I like the chart. I'm a visual person, but I do like numbers. So I was like, can I?
I'll put that in Friday letter if that's okay with the board, so that you'll have that. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions before I move on?
Well, I like that we're not the worst, or we're just right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Yes, ma'am.
We're doing okay.
Well, and I think that's important. And Bobby, I don't know if you wanted to go
Mr. Blunt.
I'll go after you.
Well, if we can go to the next slide again, and I've mentioned this at the last meeting. Now, this is not, again, I don't mean to steal Megan's thunder, but looking forward, we've got a little bit of work to do in assessing, analyzing efficiencies going into this fall. We're, again, you'll see momentarily, in a much, much better, and I will argue, sustainable fiscal position for not only next year, but the following year. But it is going to be contingent upon us doing our due diligence in garnering as many efficiencies as we can without impacting the integrity of, like I say, our programming, without having to implement any type of a reduction in force, and particularly without having to declare financial agency, which is the dire straight equation. In fact, we're moving past those conversations at this point. So how do we get and position ourselves for the fall of 2026, which will be what I estimate a proposal for the community to consider our ability to adopt and take advantage of the 3 additional golden pennies that we still have on the table, and then also looking at the next 26 bond proposal that will very likely include a lot of life cycle replacement needs, to include HVAC repairs. I don't foresee any new campuses, in fact, for the foreseeable future, but I do foresee a lot of renovation needs, a lot of life cycle replacement, maintenance and upkeep needs that will likely be a part of that bond. So it'll be likely in fall of 2026. A voter-approved tax ratification election, as well as probably a smaller bond than what we're accustomed to, but to take care of, like say, our basic facility needs.
As promised, as Dr. Kraftwig said, we would get to the meat of the presentation. This item is our budget projection item. And so what you're seeing on this slide, and you've seen this slide, a similar slide of this several times before as we've come to the board through the year. And we are looking at our current year, which is the 24-25 school year. That is the budget year that ends August 31st. So we've got about a month and a half left in that fiscal year. The most recent budget amendment that has come to the board and approved by the board was about $101 million deficit, if you remember correctly in that. So right now we are trying to project out to August 31st, and we look like we're going to finish the year at about a $91 million deficit. So I'm going to say that's a positive thing. We went from $101 million to $91 million. That's positive. Not where we want to be, but that's realistic. But we've done a lot of work, a lot of hard work this year. And right now, based on the legislative session, so we did get new revenue in from the legislative session, and you can see that in that revenue section. I'm not going to go through each of those line items. And through some hard work of reducing expenditures in that bottom section, and we're expecting fiscal year 26 right now roughly to be a deficit of 22 million. So that's where we are. So we still have work to do, but so much better than we've been over the last couple of months as we've been working through that. So a couple of things I do want to point out in the 25-26 budget line item, because my last slide here will tell you things that could change this scenario. So I'm going to talk through a little bit of that right now. One of the items, the third line down on the revenue, is a one-time property value audit. We go through every year and ask to have our property values audited so we can try to get as much revenue as we can through that process. So you can see that's an $18 million revenue item that we expect to receive. The timing of that is somewhat unknown. We are in the process. In theory, we could receive it before August 31st of this year, which would move it to the left. We can receive it the year that we have it in, which is what we think will happen, but it could be delayed, as it is many years, and move out to the next year. It's a one-time thing, so it's not going to keep being realized every year. So that $18 million could move left or right on that item. So just some things that look different. Similarly, on the very bottom area, the expenditures, the $15 million payroll accrual, that has to do with our number of instructional days in the fiscal year that we're currently in. We're moving from in August of this year, we will have 5 more instructional days than we did last year. So we have a payroll accrual that actually moves the expenditures. And so we're actually saving money out of next year's budget, and it moves into this year's budget. So some of these things will ebb and flow from a year-to-year basis that are the one-time things for those years, but just for you to see in general.
And Megan, let me, for our new trustees, let me kind of explain this again. So previously, the board approved a 2-year calendar. Rather than, as a district of innovation, rather than backing the start of the school year up a full 2 weeks, we elected to adopt a 2-year calendar cycle. That last year, we backed the start of the school year up 1 week. And so we actually experienced this exact same accrual last year. This year, we're obviously backing up August 11th. In fact, we're one of the earliest now districts starting in the state, believe it or not. So I already warned this team this morning, this is it. We're not backing it up again. But this will be the second year of that 1 week accrual for that 2-year calendar cycle. And then, of course, we're this fall going to begin the process of working through the committees to develop the next 2-year calendar cycle. So just to provide a little bit of context as to the logistics or the mechanism behind those accruals.
So want to stop for just a moment before I talk about the bottom part of the slide, but so making sure you're focused on that projected results of operations line item. That is what would be a surplus if it was in black, but because it's in red, it's a deficit. So I want to make sure that you see that. And while our goal is a balanced budget, we're not there yet, but again, doing so much better than we were 6 months ago. So we're making progress. So we will have some reductions we will have to do, or don't necessarily want to say reductions because maybe it's more revenue. Maybe we have a lot of students that come in from other school districts, but we have adjustments that we need to do to be able to get to that balanced budget. Because my goal is for 2027 to have a balanced budget. We do not want to go into our unassigned fund balance. So that leads right into that bottom section that we've talked about so much of our fund balance. As you know, that the board has made an assignment to have an instructional continuity piece of our fund balance that we've been spending down, and I'm going to show it graphically next. So, Dr. Hassel, you probably like this slide. The next slide will be the graphical look of it. But you can see that we're fortunate that this $22 million deficit that we're showing right now, we do have fund balance set aside to pay for that. We have savings, if you will, set aside to cover that piece of that deficit for the upcoming school year.
Yeah, and this is, if you recall, this is the instructional continuity designated fund balance that we've been describing. And even though we're spending the vast majority of it to shore up what we anticipate to be this year-end fiscal audited, this fiscal year-end audited budget, That $48.9 million is very nice to have to not only take care of this year's budget, but also looking at next year's budget. But the reality is we are going to have to begin, well, I say begin, we're going to have to continue to use what, as I refer to as a scalpel approach and a very systematic analysis of where can we gain efficiencies, again, without using a hatchet, which is what becomes very, very painful for all parties involved, particularly students and staff. And so that's what we will do. And while here in the coming weeks, we feel like that we're going to be able to propose, like I say, a budget that we can live within, and that the community can support. We're going to continue to work on this, and we're going to work on it all the way through this year. Megan indicated one approach strategy that we're going to be implementing, particularly from a central office and support perspective, is we're going to put basically a hiring freeze review on every position that becomes vacant to see if we can garner efficiencies through reorganization, and if we have that ability, we will. And like I say, that will be a position that we'll absorb. And I know it sounds like, well, that's one position or two positions, few positions. Well, in the aggregate, as you've already seen, that effort adds up. And so those will be our efforts going into the fall, along with some other conversations in and around school efficiencies, et cetera. So we've still got some work to do, but again, thanks to Megan and her team and really the entire district administration, campus administrative team that worked so hard on this spring and summer, we're in a much better fiscal position than we have been.
So following that view across, using the instructional continuity first is what would happen as we go through this process for the $38.4 million deficit for the fiscal year 27 look that we're looking at right now. Some of that would use up the rest of the instructional continuity, and we would start dipping into the unassigned fund balance. And so also go on to the next slide so you can see that graphically, that you've seen the graph through 23-24 several times, but you can see that 24-25 we're spending down. That green part is getting much smaller with the deficit that we will see for this fiscal year. And then next year we would use up the remainder of the green part, the instructional continuity piece, and start eating into that unassigned fund balance if we do not get control of the deficit spending. But we will. We'll get there. But I want you to see that the 3 months is that best practices. And so you can see across that left-hand side, number three is what we want to be at. We'll be dipping into that. But again, we will get that contained before we get to fiscal year 27. That is my goal and what I plan to do.
And I know that probably one of the questions is, well, how did we accrue the designated continuity of instruction fund balance to begin with? Well, if you recall, there were COVID relief funds that were plentiful as a result of the pandemic, and so the district very strategically and wisely, in my assessment, put that money as much as we could, supplanted many services, knowing that this day eventually was going to come. And so even though we called Dr. Woods a dirty name earlier tonight, in this regard, his efforts very much, leadership was very much appreciative.
This is the rainy day fund, right?
This is not, yeah, this is not really the rainy day fund. This is a designated rainy day fund for us to basically be able to wean off of the COVID funding that we have become accustomed to. The rainy day fund, our rainy day fund, I will argue is really our 3 months operating expenditures, which is represented here as the unassigned fund balance. That really is, I'll argue, yes, for a rainy day, but really also very important to the operations of just how funds flow, state funding flows, for us to be able to make payroll, and also to have, like I say, a cushion in the event that we need those resources. If we find ourselves in a financial pinch or tide, which we're not going to.
And as we seeing the decreased enrollment, it has been critical. So it was such a smart move to be ahead of that decreased enrollment. And so that's the fund balance look based on the projected budgets that we'll be bringing forward. I want to talk about the other two board-approved budgets that we talked about last time, just so you know where we are on those items, because we've not spent a lot of time talking about those. We'll start talking about those more heavily on August 12th, and then, of course, ask for adoption on the 26th. The debt service, which is our interest and sinking fund, which is our payment of our outstanding bonds. We will have someone here to talk through that process of how we try to early defease those bonds when we can to save in the interest cost. Just like your mortgage, if you go from having a high interest rate mortgage and the interest rates go down, you can refinance and save yourself all of that interest cost. The district can do that too. And so we'll be coming back on the 12th and talking about how we want to try to do that again. We've done that for several years. Anytime we can do it, we're going to try to do it to save our taxpayers money over time. And so our intent is to maintain a level tax rate on the INF side, to not increase it. Of course, we don't want to increase it. And our real goal is to be able to have a bond election and not have to increase it by doing these cost-saving measures through those refinancing. And so we'll bring that forward on the 12th and talk through that in anticipation of the 26th, setting the tax rate. And then on the Child Nutrition Fund, I just want to remind you of some of our overarching goals there on the Child Nutrition Fund. Of course, the Child Nutrition Fund is paying for the pay raises that the board enacted within that fund, and they are not going to increase paid milk prices, so that is a wonderful thing that Thomas Weary and his staff has worked very hard to be efficient to be able to provide those pay raises and not put that onto the parents. They are also maintaining their fund balance. They're not having to dip into that, and so they're maintaining that in compliance with their regulations for that fund. And then equally as important is that bottom line item, we will continue with the same 76 campuses that have the CEP program, where all students there at that campus, those campuses, 76 of them, receive free breakfast and lunch. So none of those are having to be reduced. So that's a very positive also.
Oh, good.
So when we bring forward those two budgets to look at for the first time on the 12th, I want you to remember these pieces because I do think they're very important on those funds.
That's great.
Thomas does a great job in that.
Dr. Hassel.
I have a question, not finance again, but it came to mind. Just kind of the process of collecting free and reduced lunch paperwork and how efficient we are at doing that. Just because it catches up later on when they get to high school, because that is a lot of what the funding is on the college side. So just out of curiosity, what is our process and what does that look like? And if we have 76 schools that are eligible, how does that translate to high school? Like, because I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I don't know if there's that many high schools that qualify for that in our district. Yeah.
I do not have that list in front of me, but I can tell you the process for documenting income levels for the CEP campuses is done completely different than the non-CEP campuses.
Okay.
And that's federal law. So federal law says that the campuses that are in the National School Lunch Program, which are not the CEP campuses, that goes through our school nutrition, child nutrition department, and they have an actual group of 4 or 5 employees that are working that all year round. So they are there right now already collecting forms. They could start after the July 4th week, and so they're already starting collection on the non-CEP campuses.
Okay.
The CEP campuses, the income level is still the same to qualify and to get the indicator, but because they are a CEP campus, they cannot legally use the National School Lunch Program resources. So again, there's federal guidelines and we're audited on them every year. So the CEP campuses actually go through our other departments, our more administrative departments, to document that same information. And to get that documented, it's critical for accountability.
Yeah.
And so we are while on the National School Lunch Program, it's critical for that free and reduced lunch reimbursement. On the CEP campus side, it's critical on the accountability side. So we work very hard on both sides to get that information through all the grade levels.
And for both campuses, is that sent into TEA?
They're not, it's sent in through PEMS, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's sent in to TEA.
So we have campuses where every student can go and get a free breakfast and a lunch, and they don't have to apply through an application, and that's what a CEP campus is.
Yes, ma'am.
And the other ones, there's like me as an individual. I
Have
would
to fill out that form,
apply.
right, to become, and you could have a free or a reduced based on that.
Depending on your
through the National
income.
School Lunch Program. Yes. And this, the CEP program is a very interesting program. I should have Thomas come and speak to you sometime if we ever have a slow board meeting agenda, because it is we got to giggle on that one. So, but it is a amazing program, and the qualifications for it is very different. But I would love to have him come speak to you.
I love it because the students never felt like the stigma of being like, I'm a free reader. Everyone gets it. And so it was really cool because everyone would take it up.
And we're able to do things like breakfast in the classroom, which helps start your day of learning early. And there's a lot of great things with the CEP option. Yes. I'll ask Thomas to come visit.
Dr. Harrell?
Sorry.
Yeah, I had a real quick question back on, sorry, I was still thinking on the fund balance history. In 2019-20, because it is so correlated to, our attendance and our enrollment, right? So we had 104,000 in 2019, and you said earlier we're at 91,000?
97,000 enrollment.
97,000.
I can go way back. Let me go way back here.
I heard 91.
The 91 is, in essence, what we're calculating for ADA, which is how we're
80
funded.
right,
So
right.
on that
You have to
top
take
left.
into
Oh, I
consideration.
got you now. Okay.
In essence, attendance rate.
Yeah.
Now, even that, we're really funded based upon weighted average daily attendance. But that's a whole nother, so there are weights associated with funding of programs like a CTE.
Right.
That we would receive an additional, I think it's 0.26.
Jake and Julie probably know that, but.
Am I close? It's amazing, and I've been sleeping on it for months now, but and so yes, we'll be a little over 97,000. We anticipate to be a little over 97,000 students, and I'll say this as well. We feel like that is a number that is slightly conservative, because we wanted to make sure that from a budgeting standpoint, we're not overinflating our enrollment, because in doing so, we're once again just belaboring the challenges of, okay, it's going to have to be corrected at some point.
Right.
Mr. Blunt?
Yes, because I was curious when you asked that question. It's actually on our website. The number of schools we have and listed.
Yes,
Community
yes, there it is,
eligibility
yes.
provision. There's actually 5 high schools, and then you also we include home green and DAP home green also within that, make it 7. But yeah, so at least 5 high schools.
That's
so,
big.
Yeah, but it's on the website, which ones are actually in it. I was curious about that. I was going to add one other thing real quick too. I'm sorry. When we're comparing data with the different districts, and this is mainly for our trustees, this is a good time to have conversations with other districts because there's other information. For example, when we're showing the table, it's interesting to know home values also for the different districts because it makes a very big difference in that regard. The other thing that's interesting to talk to other districts about is, and it's very common now, but M&O, there used to be a big difference. Some used to use it to buy facilities and some other type things. Now there's a lot in common. So when you look at it, it's hard to do a straight line comparison. It's valuable information, but it leads to a good conversation to understand what others and how they got to their situation.
In the rounds of compression is what has eliminated a lot of that variance mathematically, as you well know, Bobby.
Okay.
So this is our next steps in the budget process. So we are starting to get our tax value certifications, and we can't calculate our tax rates until we have those from all 3 counties. So we have it from 1 county, and we're waiting for the other 2 now, and we hope to get those. I think Jake's going to start calling and talking to them on Friday. Yes, okay, to say please get them to us as soon as possible. Then we send that information when we back into those tax rates. We have to send it to TEA. TEA has to certify our maximum compressed tax rate before we can bring it to you. So we do that around August 1st is when that happens. Then we are still, as I said, waiting for some clarification on some House Bill 2 items that can affect those numbers that we showed you on the detailed number spreadsheet. So I want you to know that if we get new information, again, we have a commissioner call tomorrow afternoon. He may tell us some rules on something that might affect some of this, and so we'll keep listening to those conversations and adjusting. And then we'll bring the proposed budgets and tax rates to the board on August 12th, and then ask for approval on the 26th with conversations at both of those meetings with those. One piece I did not put in this slide, but I think it's important because I know you've been reading and hearing. We're also watching the federal landscape. We had 5 federal programs that were put on hold for funding. That could affect this budget scenario too. We do not want to be reactionary and react too quick and stop doing things that are good for kids until we know for sure what those rules are. And so if we have to move some of that to the general fund temporarily, we will. We're hoping not to have to do that. One of the 5 has already been said it will be released, but we're watching that federal front very closely also. So that could adjust some of this if there's any knowns that come out of that. So it's kind of like the House Bill 2. We're also watching the federal landscape.
Megan, I'm just really impressed that you're still smiling and that you're very optimistic. So thank you for keeping us informed.
She doesn't have a choice.
I was going to say.
We check her every day before she walks in the building. She's got to somehow conjure a smile up. No.
Yeah, it's.
Megan's hit the ground running. She came and started at Northside shortly after spring break, and we had started the budget process, and if I can just describe it as pretty doom and gloom, that's where we were, and so I completely agree, Megan. But also, she's got a pretty phenomenal team that has worked very, very hard.
All the teams. I mean, everyone has jumped in, rolled up their sleeves, worked together, and worked for the students. It's a hard process, but it's been a heartwarming process to see how much people care to do the right thing for our students in our district. So
thank you. Dr. Hassel.
Yes, I just wanted to add, when I met with you and your team, you could really tell the respect they have for you. And that is a huge thing as a leader, to really have individuals in such a short amount of time really respect you and respect your decisions and the work that you're doing. So I do want to commend you on that I was able to notice that when I met with you and your team.
Thank you. And with that, we're going to move to the next item, Superintendent, future agenda items.
So obviously, this will be an item that we bring back on the 12th. Before I get to future agenda items, we actually have 2 called meetings on the 30th and the 31st. And currently, we have just the improvement of student outcome training on the 31st. And we have our team building, team of 8 training on the 30th. All 7 have affirmed attendance. What we'd like to do, if it's okay, is we'd like to flip those dates. We think that the ISO training, which is going to be obviously very data intense and looking at student achievement data, will actually be beneficial to launch us then into the conversation the following day on the 31st, particularly with goal setting. So the 31st, so the 30th, if we have ISO training, it's a 3-hour training, and then the 31st, the first hour, Orrin with TASB will provide the team building portion of the training, which is storming and norming, a conversation activity, and then we'll jump into, like I say, goal setting and some other important matters. But I think it just, as Dr. Jordan and I were discussing, having that ISO training with that data piece, I think would be really beneficial in leading into the very next day. Yes, and he's in agreement.
That would have been my only hesitation.
Yeah, just let him know, and he can make it.
I think we all had already committed to both days anyway, so I don't foresee that to be a problem.
The only thing I want to make sure everybody knows is that
They're different times.
board retreat, yes, there's a 1-hour difference.
Yeah.
One longer.
So the board retreat was originally scheduled on the 30th at 4 o'clock. And the board and the ISO training is at 5. So it would flip. ISO would now be on the 30th at 4, if that's okay. Or do we need to change?
We can make it 5 o'clock. I think.
We can. I just want to make sure, because I have to change it on the agendas in the.
Yeah, I think that it's sufficient to say that we could probably have both the 30th and the 31st posted for 5 o'clock starts, just to make it consistent, in 5 to 8-ish.
That would be great for those that have to work already.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay, so we'll make those changes. Okay, a few things. So then on the 12th, we've already mentioned several of the items. We'd like to first and foremost have the meeting at the Activity Center, Northside Activity Center. We'd like to introduce our new leadership going into the school year as we have in the past. So our new principals, directors, the venue will provide an opportunity for a short reception. We'll introduce those individuals and the roles that they have assumed at the Activity Center. And then we'll go ahead and convene our meeting thereafter at 6 o'clock. Again, we'll discuss the defeasance, as Megan has already described, with our debt service and opportunities for defeasance. Again, anytime we have the opportunity to save our taxpayers, particularly money and interest paid, we're going to do so. Fiscal year 26 will be proposed, and then tax rates to support, like I say, that fiscal year 26 budget. A few of the items that I wanted to go ahead and bring forward. We spent the vast majority of our time, and we really were meeting for a little over 3.5 hours this morning, but a lot of that time was spent in looking at what was passed out of the 89th legislative session. And while we absolutely anticipate a lot of this to come in the form of TASB policy and an update, there are a few pieces of what has been formulated in law that my sense is, even though I've reached out, we don't have the luxury, unfortunately, of sitting back and waiting too long, particularly for an update that could be September or October in the making, because there are a lot of bills that pertain to public education. So a few of those that we discussed this morning. Senate Bill 13, this pertains to library books. We would like to take a proactive approach in developing the SLAC committee, which is really the public review committee if materials, library books are challenged. And so we're going to work to bring you policy probably the 26th, if not the 12th, for review in regards to Senate Bill 13 and at least a big portion of what that formulation of committee entails. Along that same line, the review Senate Bill 12 of instructional materials and what that entails and looks like. In fact, we were just discussing it this morning that there's going to be a list of books that we are considering purchasing that is required to be posted online for 30 days to go ahead and be posted. That way you'll have the opportunity within that 30-day period, i.e. the 26th, so that when we start the fiscal year September 1, our librarians will have access to those funds to purchase the new instructional materials to go on library bookshelves. Senate Bill 401, this is going to come in the form of FM Local. This is this homeschool participation, student athletic, UIL athletic extracurricular participation bill. If it's okay with the board, I'd like to bring a proposed board policy on the 12th. Again, we start school on the 11th. Most of our athletic activities have not commenced at that point, but since we discussed it, it's going to be a slight change to that policy. I'd like to bring that in on the 12th for your consideration.
For action.
For consideration, absolutely. And it's pretty cut and dry. The other one is the student personal, this is Senate Bill 1481, the student personal communication devices. And this is the one that I think is probably going to garner a lot of attention. And it's a very simplistic bill. In fact, the bill is only about a page, maybe a page and a quarter long. The challenges are the implementation. and this is where a lot of districts are struggling. And so we're in the process of working what we believe is going to be a amiable solution that does not prohibit electronic devices, communication devices from coming to school. Because in today's day and age, as a parent of a senior myself, I just believe that most parents are going to want to have the ability in an emergency situation to be able to contact and reach their student two ways, for that matter. So our intent is not to prohibit, which is really what the legislation calls for, personal communication devices coming to campuses. Now, beyond that, this is where it gets a little bit more complicated in the sense of they are not to be visible nor used during the instructional day, instructional time. And so the instructional day school day has been defined pretty well as bell to bell. So that's inclusive of passing periods as well as lunch periods. If personal communication devices are to be allowed to come to school, they are to be, in essence, collected and put in a out-of-sight area in the classroom or within the school. Well, that's where it even becomes more complicated, because the reality of this is, and I'll pick on Brennan High School, which will be serving close to 3,000 students this year. I really logistically don't know how a high school administrative staff could collect 3,000 devices prior to commencing the day, and then not to mention the redistribution of those devices at the end of the day. I mean, just logistically, having been a high school principal, I just don't talk about mission impossible. I think that may be it. So that being said, we're going to be visiting with principals tomorrow in regards to a solution that will suffice the letter of the law, and that is phones, if they come to school, and/or personal communication devices, which includes watches, which also could include personal tablets, go into backpacks, and they are then placed in a designated area in the classroom within the backpack, and to be turned off and not visible, not used during the instructional day. This does a couple of things. It prevents teachers from having to take time, and very important time, out of instruction to collect the devices. And then it also, like I say, meets the letter of the law as it was intended. One of the questions that was asked was, well, what if the students don't have a backpack? Which there may be a few, and thanks, Mrs. Zapata. Like I say, that kind of opened my eyes. I don't know, as a student, I don't know how you go through the day without a backpack, but things have changed. That would be a situation that we could have, like I say, a collection depot, whether it be a box, some pouches, to collect the phones during the periods as well. But we're going to, like I say, have that conversation with principals tomorrow. Another provision within the law, as Ms. Zapata and I were just discussing earlier, is there is a safety provision that would provide the opportunity for students to maintain that backpack, we believe, within that backpack. And that's in essence through our Crime Stopper reporting that provides students the opportunity to report incidents through text messaging, cell phone messaging, that I believe would absolutely be sufficient for the students to retain, like I say, the cell phone. So we're going to strike this balance. We're going to start working on guidance, and then we're going to bring back policy in the form of FNCE local also on the 12th, because this is one that I do feel like also needs to be formalized. I know that we're going to be a day after the school year starts, but it needs to be formalized through policy pretty quickly. The policy itself actually will also be pretty straightforward. It's really going to be the admin regulations and what goes into the student code of conduct. But like I say, I know there's a lot of questions that have been swirling around. What is Northside going to do in regards to the cell phone bill? And I would prefer and recommend students are not prohibited from bringing the phones to school. They stay in the backpacks. We create a designated area so that it is not one more thing, one more task that our hardworking teachers have to handle. Because again, this is district-wide. Keep in mind, this is pre-K, which I know this may sound crazy, but we may have pre-K students that have iPhones and probably know how to use them a lot more so than I do. All the way through 12th grade, and we want to make sure that we're consistent with our messaging, and we really don't want to have to, like I say, look up and change policy or practice after we start the school year. So that's our intention. Unless you have any questions.
Mr. Salcedo?
Yeah, I did. Part of that bill included the medical waiver part. How
Yes.
we're going to do that? Well, they get to keep it no matter what, right? If they have a...
Yeah, exactly. There's a medical waiver exclusion. There's the school safety exclusion, and then there's one more. Sorry, I don't. You may have it in front of you, but Mr. Salazito, but there was one more exclusion. So from a medical waiver standpoint, it was a physician order. Thank you. Okay, let me get back up. It was an IEP or a 504 plan, a physician's order. So there would need to be a physician's order for that exclusion to apply, and/or for a safety plan to be implemented on the campus. Those are the three exclusions. So to answer your question, it would require a physician's note. But that being said, I think that we can strike, like I say, a balance of mutual respect. I think a policy that the parents will be in favor of, actually, because I do believe in my conversations that parents don't want cell phones to be a distraction in the instructional environment. At the same time, in the event of an emergency, would like to know that they have that ability to reach out and make contact. So, like I say, being in compliance with the law, but also, like I say, striking that balance is going to be our main objective.
Thank you.
So those will be policies that will be, like I say, forthcoming on the 12th. And then I know there'll probably be a few other items that come up just as we get ready to start the school year. Oh, there'll be a first day of school report as well.
All right, thank you, sir. So the board is now going to convene into closed session in accordance with the Texas Government Codes 551.071 through 551.084. No action will be taken in this closed session, and any decisions that will be made will be done so in open session when we reconvene. Thank you all for coming. It's now 8:13, and we're going to go ahead and meet in your office.
I'm in office.
Okay.
Yeah, great.
So let's meet at
We'll meet in my office.
8:15. All right, the time is now 9:29, and the board is now reconvening into open session. No action was taken in closed session, but regarding the agenda items discussed in the closed session, is there a motion to come before the board?
Oh, which one? Sorry.
So we have two items, item A, and the approval of appointments, the resolution and the appointments.
Are you gonna, okay, I move that we approve the appointments as presented in executive session.
I second.
And all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion is passed. Do we have any other motions? Dr. Hassel?
Do we move to the resolution or
To approve the resolution?
Yeah, I mean, you can discuss the resolution. It can be read, and then a motion can be submitted by a member of the body.
Okay.
Read it first.
Yeah, you'd like.
This is a long one. Okay. Resolution. Authorization to sell, transfer, and convey the district's 0.6442 acre tract of land out of the Lot 3 New City Block, NCB, address 1518 Sam Rayburn, or 1518 Sam Rayburn Middle School, a subdivision in the city of San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas, on IH 410 and Valley High Drive, which is part of the Sam Rayburn Middle School campus, excluding minerals, to the state of Texas, acting by and through the Texas Transportation Commission for the use and the benefit of the Texas Department of Transportation, and authorization to execute deed. Resolved that the superintendent and or his designee is hereby authorized to negotiate acceptable terms and sign all related and or necessary agreements and or documents with the Texas Department of Transportation to consummate the sale, transfer, conveyance of the 0.6442 acre trace of land out of Lot 3, New City Block 15180, Sam Rayburn Middle School, a subdivision of San Antonio, of the city of San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas, record in volume 9527, page 83, deed and plat record of Bexar County, Texas, owned by the district of IH-10 and Valley High Drive, which is currently part of the Sam Rayburn Middle School campus, excluding minerals, to the state of Texas, acting by and through the Texas Transportation Commission. And the president of this school board of trustees is hereby authorized to execute a deed transferring and conveying the district's property, excluding minerals, to the state of Texas, acting by and through the Texas Transportation Commission for the purpose of expanding IH 410. The foregoing resolution was adopted by the board of trustees. Oh, wait, not that part. The end.
So in English,
I am making a motion to approve the resolution or to have discussion? Approve the resolution.
To adopt the resolution.
Adopt the resolution.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we have any discuss? Okay. There's a discussion. You have a question, Ms. Zapata?
Yes. I'd like for the board to discuss, I know that's an area that's a really high trafficked area, and I'd like for us to possibly discuss maybe also acquiring a marquee or some sort of advertisement, just so we can continue to advertise the quality of education that we have there with Rayburn. I know it's gonna cut a little bit off, but I think it's important. It's a high trafficked area. You know, it's a great school. I just don't want to lose the opportunity where now it kind of gets hidden or it gets pushed back. So there's an opportunity for us to acquire some sort of digital marquee or a marquee so we can continue to advertise.
Is that a question you guys can answer first? The text dot?
The only thing is, they probably, I don't know if you have a microphone for them to make sure.
You can borrow mine. And screws.
Just come sit here.
Yeah, and while we're working on that, just as a reminder, this is a resolution that authorizes us basically to engage in negotiations to finalize this for board execution. The conveyance, and again, I was going to, just in layman's terms, again, the conveyance in this particular situation or regard is going to encroach upon about 30 feet of right-of-way on the frontage of 410 that is adjacent to Rayburn Middle School. So I'll let them introduce themselves, and like I say, thank you guys for your patience for being here this evening. Y'all been here the entire meeting, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Good evening, Madam President, Dr. Kraft, and boards. I'm sorry. So to answer your question, ma'am, at this time I don't really have an answer for you. I can go back and try to do some research and see what can be feasible, but I know that, we're not going to be, it'd be helpful if I brought a map so I can visually show you, but the school will not be essentially hidden away. It's just going to be, the roadway is just going to be expanded. So there will be some spot maybe open on the tract of land that's on that side of the fence, where you can possibly put a sign if you choose to do so. But as far as if you're referring to placing a sign in TxDOT right of way, that's something that I have to go back and to get clarification on. But I'm not going to promise whether that is going to be possible or not.
Yes, please, if you don't mind going back and asking, only because I also know construction. I mean, we say it's not gonna be blocked. I mean, when it's all said and done, but I also do know it takes a long time, and you know, there's a lot of barriers out there, the construction and all of that's taking place, and I just, you know, right now we're in a position where we need to continue to showcase our schools and to make sure that we advertise and to make sure that we have that, and, you know, it's, like, you know, just want that opportunity to see if that's able to be done.
Yes, ma'am.
To have some visibility, right, to that traffic that will be
Yes, ma'am. There'll be
behind our school. Okay.
Yeah, we'll definitely work in coordination and just see what opportunities we have.
Yeah, and I just was going to add, if it's okay.
Dr. Harlan.
No, I was just going to add, it doesn't necessarily have to be on TxDOT's easement or right of way. It could be on our land, but we would certainly like that considered in the negotiations, that it has this strong visibility sign, advertisement touting Rayburn Middle School right there, just because it'll be dust and dirt and construction and everything for a while, and it is a jewel back there, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Of course.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Okay, with that said, we can now vote to approve the adoption of this resolution. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the adoption for the resolution has passed. And it is now 9:37 on July 22nd, and this meeting is adjourned.